there, fantasy owners. Welcome to Lift the Cup Fantasy, or LTC Fantasy as some call it. Not sure if you're watching on YouTube or listening via podcast, just in case you don't want to see my ugly mug. But today we're going to look at the first 10 goalies taken in this year's NHL draft, kind of break it down, see who might project to be fantasy-wise. This is special for you Dynasty owners out there. A lot of the time, to be quite honest, I'd rather not take a goalie in a draft. I'd wait to pick them up as a prospect if you got prospect picks throughout the year, or wait till they've 2-3 years after goalies have been drafted just to see how they develop. It's really hard to pick goalies. It really is a crapshoot out there. You look at some of the highly touted prospects. You look at like Vasilevsky's year. Yes, he was taken first goalie off the board, and he's turned out great. But not too many spots after him. Oscar Dansk was taken, and to be honest, he never really amounted to much. He got a few starts in the show, but not somebody that you'd really consider fantasy-wise. On the flip side of things, you look at goalies that are really good right now. Look at Shesterkin. He was taken later on in the draft. Samsonov, well, now of Toronto, he was a first-round pick, but he's been struggling as he's progressed. So, to be honest, this is, if you like taking goalies, this will be a good episode for you to listen and who projects. Me personally, I like to wait a little bit later on, but then sometimes I miss out on a goalie that's already been taken by some of the owners that do like to take goalies every year. So we'll get right into it. First goalie off the board in the draft was Tobias Lenon. He was drafted 41st overall by Buffalo, so right at the beginning of the second round now. NHL Central Scouting had him ranked as the number one European goalie. Big body, 6'5", 216 pounds. Some quotes that I went through different websites. Some of the things they had to say was he seals the bottom of the net easily, hard to beat cleanly with a shot. So that's good. He has good net coverage down low. He's athletic and quick for his size. When I am reading about goalies, when I am going to take one, I do like hearing the word athletic. That means they're more mobile, can move around better, maybe get that odd save. You don't like hearing about, when I think of blockers, you think of somebody like Garth Snow when he used to play, etc. Potential comparison is Pekka Rinne. Well, that's a really nice comparison because Rinne had a hell of a career in Nashville there. He's almost always in solid position, not only for initial shot, but rebound as well. I really like hearing that when you're talking about goalies because he's able to react quick when there is that shot. If he does give up a rebound, he can get into position quick to get that rebound. And good puck handler. That's good to hear now, especially with how quick the game is. You do want that quick transition, so that's nice, or that he can get it out of the glass, not put it on the other team's tape and it's in the back of the net there. So overall, he does project to be a fairly decent goalie. How long does it take him to get to the show? Buffalo's system right now, they got Anderson, who's about to retire, but they got Ukko-Pekka Laukkanen in there, so he'll be battling. Malcolm Subban's not really a threat. He's going to be an AHL goalie called up on an emergency basis, so there's not too much depth there, which is nice to hear. Second goalie taken off the board was Nicholas Cackle. He was drafted 58th overall by Seattle. He was the number 9 ranked European goalie. Right away, when the second goalie off the board is number 9 ranked European, that shows how different teams rank different prospects very differently. It wasn't even a higher ranked North American goalie or a higher ranked European goalie. So overall, he was probably ranked 16, 17, 18th overall by NHL scouting, and here he was, second goalie off the board. He has decent size. He's 6'3", so rather tall goalie, 184 pounds. What some of them have found, it was hard to find a lot of quotes on him, but I found a quote from last September there in an article. Said he was an athletic goalie with good size who is poised in the crease. He is in good hands in the Karpat organization, which has produced 3 NHL draft picks at the position in the last 3 years. So you know he's going He's in a program in Finland that produces a lot of goalies at the draft, so that's good. Hear that word athletic again. I really do like hearing that. He has good size, poised in the crease. That's good. He's not a hothead or doesn't lack confidence easily. He keeps his poise in there, so that's good to hear. Numbers were not good at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. I did notice that, but they were really good in the Finnish Junior League last year. So hard to project, but if he was the second goalie taken off the board, it's not like you or I go over to Finland and watch hockey games, so you can kind of put it in the scouts' hands that hopefully they know what they're looking for there. Again, goalies are hard to predict, especially when they're 18 and they usually don't make it in until they're 24, 25 on a regular basis. Next goalie taken off the board was Tyler Brennan. He was drafted 102nd overall by New Jersey. He was a number 1 ranked North American goalie. And he has really good size. He's 6'4", 190 pounds. Some quotes that I read on him. He has size GM's crave. Again, 6'4", blocks a lot of the net. So that's... Big goalies are the going thing. Remember when they were little guys in the 80s? You had Darren Pang and Vernon, etc. Now the average size for a goalie is probably 6'1" to 6'3" now. And then you really do want somebody that's even taller than that. He moves laterally in a very composed and precise manner. That's what you like to have. He has good control of his body when he is moving around there. And he has excellent reflexes and closes off the post well. So I do like hearing that he closes off the post well, because a lot of goals, they'll come in short side or the wraparound around the net. And if he closes that off, that adds a lot of value for me when I'm looking for a goalie. So Tyler Brennan could be a good prospect in New Jersey. They got Blackwood, who's been injured a lot, and Vanessic, that's kind of up and down. Kind of hard to tell if he'll break loose when he gets a few more starts maybe in New Jersey this year. So Brennan, obviously a few years away, but something to look at there. The fourth goalie off was Mason Bullpit. He was drafted 108th overall by San Jose. He was the number 5 ranked North American goalie. Really good size, 6'5", so he's a tall bugger again, 188 pounds. So 6'5" and only 188 pounds. You've probably seen a bigger set of arms on a pair of eyeglasses there, but obviously some quotes that I read there. Size helps him fill out the entire net, which can be intimidating for the opposition, because that's good to hear, because there's obviously, even if he is big, if he plays big, there's not a lot of space for shooters, so that's good to hear. Might force them to shoot wide or over top of the net instead of on net. He reacts well to first shots and athletic for his size. Again, you like to hear that he reacts well to first shots, but again, there's that word athletic that I really do like to hear when I'm reading about goalies and thinking about adding them to my Dynasty roster there. Fifth goalie off the board was Sergey Mirashov. He was drafted 118th overall by Pittsburgh. A little bit smaller, only 6 feet tall, 167 pounds. So he is one of the shorter goalies. Don't know if there is room to grow for him, but that is on the smaller end. He was the number 7 ranked European goalie. Again, some of these goalies were kind of hard to find some literature on, but I did find some quotes. Said he has good hockey sense for a goalie and good athletic ability. Again, that word athletic, I can't drill that enough that I like hearing that word. He had a very good season in the MHL, which is the Russian Junior League, and he catches with his right hand, so he's a southpaw, as we'd call him, because he catches with the opposite hand of most goalies. Smaller goalies, kind of hard to project. Last one that really comes to mind, you kind of think of like Jonathan Bernier. He was really highly touted, drafted earlier on, and he never really did get the starting gig. He was supposed to be LA's next goalie, then Quick kind of beat him to the punch and developed quicker. Bernier's one that you can stream on an occasion, so maybe Mirashov develops into that, or hard to say there. I tend to stay away from goalies that are a little bit on the shorter end, because it seems they got a lot bigger struggle to make it to the show there. Sixth goalie off the board was Dennis Hildeby. He was drafted 122nd overall by Toronto. He He was an overage goalie, so he wasn't ranked there. He was his third draft. He's big though, 6'6", 234 pounds. He's a freaking monster in there. Obviously, some of the quotes I read, big-bodied netminder who covers a lot of the net and shows composure in his movements. So that's really good to hear. He shows composure, big-bodied guy, covers a lot of net, things that you're looking for in a goalie. He's always had raw athletic talent, but past season showed the mental consistency, crease containment, and technical adjustments needed to look like an NHL goalie more often. So that's good. He's getting the mental side of the game. He's getting there. So he should pan out. One thing I do warn against, just because history kind of shows, Toronto's had bad history drafting and developing goalies. The last one really was Reimer. The one that they did have in their system that they traded away was Tuukka Rask. That was a horrible trade. But yeah, they're not really good at drafting and developing in their own system, so I'd worry a little bit about that. But obviously, if Reimer's been there, there's probably been quite a few changes in their goaltending developing, so maybe there's something there. But big body, that's bonus. Organization he got drafted by, not known to develop goalies well. Next one is Cameron Whitehead. He was drafted 128th overall by Vegas. He was the number 7th ranked North American goalie. Decent size. He's 6'3", 172 pounds. He was passed on last year's draft, so he is a year older than a lot of these guys, other than Hildeby, of course. He played well this year, tied 8th in wins in the USHL. He was one of only 3 goalies invited to the NHL Combine. To me, that kind of tells me something. If he was one of 3 invited, he was probably ranked higher on a lot of boards if he was drafted or was invited to the Combine. So that's a promising thing. And has a good pro presence and plays with confidence. So that's good. You want goalie, they're a little weak between the ears sometimes. So if you're playing with confidence, that to me is a bonus. And pro presence, it means good. It means he's not going to crash under pressure. So that's good. Might be a very solid draft pick for Vegas. They need to build up their system because it seems like anything decent they have to trade away to get under the salary cap. So see how that works out there. Next one is Sergey Ivanov. I forgot to write down where he was drafted. Give me a second there. Sergey Ivanov was 138th overall by Columbus. Small goalie, only 5'11", 165 pounds. So I do warn about the size again, but can be wrong. Ivanov, Russian goalie. Russians tend to spit out a lot of goalies that are high-end lately. Vasilevsky and Shesterkin, to name a few. He is a smaller goalie and not a lot out there on the web, obviously. Numbers look good at the World Under-18s when I checked his stats. Also at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup and regular season in the MHL in Russia. So he had really good stats this year. Couldn't find any direct quotes about him, but does look promising. So might be a nice pickup for Columbus there. The 9th goalie taken all was Ty Young. He was drafted 144th overall by Vancouver. Number 6 ranked North American goalie. So he's higher ranked there. Decent size, 6'2", 181 pounds. Drafted by Vancouver, you're going to be stuck. They're going to have a lot of years of Demko ahead of you, but you might be able to sneak in there with injuries, take your spot exactly. What they have said about him, good butterfly coverage, glove hand, and rebound control. To me, those are really good things. He's butterfly goalie, so you know he can cover the bottom of the net. Glove hand is good, and rebound control. You don't hear too many goalies when they're that young saying they're good at controlling rebounds. It's something that normally comes later on because they tend to kick out rebounds. So that's really good to hear. That's a promising thing for me anyways. Strong work ethic. You always like to hear about guys willing to put the time in to develop. And mature for how young he is. That's good to hear. That means he might move up a little bit quicker. He might, when he is ready to turn pro, might be in the ECHL, jump up to the AHL pretty quickly, and see how it goes from there for him. And the 10th goalie taken in the draft was Maxime Mayroff. I think is how you pronounce it. 147th overall by Dallas. And he's 6 foot 6 inches, so big bastard there. 196 pounds. Of course, the way Ottinger is developing might be a while for him, but you have time. You got 5-6 years till he's ready. That's kind of normal trajectory for a goalie, so you got lots of time. Hard to find a little bit on him. Did find that he's big, mobile, and has good reflexes. Do like hearing reflexes, that they are good, especially for being 6'6", to have good reflexes. That's something you don't see too often. And did find out he will be playing in the KHL next season, so he won't be playing junior. So if you do draft him, check out his stats. It might be worthwhile. Or if you keep it in your back pocket for a goalie maybe down the road, check out his stats in the KHL. Might develop into somebody for you. I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will be coming out in a bit with the first 20 defensemen that got drafted. See what we can find out. See if it works out for you in your Dynasty draft. And hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you're watching it on YouTube, remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and remember that notification bell. And if you're listening to the podcast, hope I didn't screw up your driving. If you're driving while you're listening to it where you hit anything. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of the regular off season, and good luck in your guys' drafts this year, fantasy owners.